Saturday was something to behold. But what does it mean now that we are past an assassination attempt at a campaign rally? Ooh, boy, that and more. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift on Roku TV and BS3TVLive.com. Also on BS3 Morning Shift, Cole Johnson's YouTube channel. And you're listening to it on the Real Wise Radio Network. And that starts right now.
Come true.
Well, good morning, Shifter. It is Monday, July 15th, 2024, and welcome to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. We are live on BS3TVLive.com. We are live on Roku TV via BS3. We're live on the BS3 Morning Shift, Cole Johnson YouTube channel. And yes, if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. We are live on the Real Wise Radio Network. And coming along this program, other than, of course, what took place Saturday in a suburban Pittsburgh town, we'll also touch on retirement. Do you need to dip into it? And the tips for you to and not to do so. And also, we're going to talk about testing of faith and lighting the way. That's for later. But for now, let's start you up. And here is what's taking place in the world today. Butler, Pennsylvania, the blue-collar city of almost 14,000 people, that a bullet from a rifle-toting sniper grazed a former president, his head, at a Saturday rally. And it set off a chain of reaction, streams of horror amongst the crowd being filmed on national television. Many residents awoke yesterday morning to find gnawing new worries about what one of America's darkest political days will mean for the election to come, the country itself, and their hometown. More than a dozen attacks have been recorded on American presidents in the history of America, of course, presidency-elect as well, or presidential candidates in U.S. history. For example, Reagan, March 30th, 1981, was shot outside of a hotel in D.C. Now Butler's in the history books for its own unique day of infamy. President Joe Biden on Sunday called on Americans to, quote, lower the temperature in our politics, close quote, in an address from the Oval Office, a day after an assassination attempt against the former president, Donald Trump, that is, at his Pennsylvania campaign rally. He went on to say the following, quote, "We're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we are fellow Americans. We must stand together. There is no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence ever, period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. Disagreement is inevitable in American democracy. It's part of the human race, human nature." Close quote. The president went on to say that to Americans, that politics shouldn't ever be a battlefield or, quote, God forbid, a killing field, close quote. The Oval Office address, a type of speech normally reserved for solemn moments such as what took place Saturday, came a few hours after the president urged Americans to unite as a nation. Millions of Americans remained under heat alerts as a record-breaking heat wave expanded into portions of central and eastern parts of the U.S., threatening urban areas with, quote, particularly intense, close quote, temperatures, forecasters warn. The unrelenting heat wave, which has set dozens of records and has been tied to at least 30 fatalities in the West, It has scorched much of the western U.S. and parts of the South, the Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, and the southern New England portion of the states over the past week. More than 141 million Americans were under some sort of and some form of heat alert and heat advisories yesterday, according to heat.gov. A Houston resident celebrated his 34th birthday Friday in a home with no power, confined mostly to his bedroom where one window air conditioning unit was powered by a generator. He's one of hundreds of thousands of Houston area residents still without electricity in the sweltering heat, more than 5 days after Hurricane Beryl rolled through the city. The storm hit the Texas coast early in the morning hours last Monday as a Category 1 hurricane, taking down trees, power lines, and prompting some to sleep in their cars to just simply stay cool. At least 13 has died in the region alone, the Houston Chronicle has estimated. The world's population is expected to grow to an estimated 10.3 billion people in the mid-2080s, according to a new report from the United Nations. Now, that's up from the current global population of 8.2 billion. The UN also reported and also identified, I should say, the following population trends. The estimated size of the world's population by the end of the century, which would be 2100, is now expected to be 6% smaller than estimated a decade ago. Across the globe, 1 in 4 people lives in a country where populations have already peaked. And in 63 countries, population size peaked before 2024. Some of those countries would include China, Germany, Japan, and the Russian Federation. Alec Baldwin, thanking his lucky stars and thanking God. He is speaking out after his Rush criminal case was abruptly dismissed Friday over allegations of suppressed evidence. In a statement shared Saturday on Instagram, Baldwin thanked his supporters after a judge ended the criminal trial. Baldwin was charged with involuntary manslaughter after a prop gun he was holding on the set of the movie Rust went off in 2021 during a rehearsal, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Baldwin said about his case being dismissed, quote, "There are too many people who have supported me to thank just now. To all of you, you will never know how much I appreciate your kindness toward my family." Close quote. In a statement provided to USA Today, Alyssa Milano honored her late charmed co-host Shannen Doherty, who starred, of course, about a few years with her, and unfortunately died this past Saturday, years-long battling with cancer. She said, quote, "It's no secret that Shannen and I had a complicated relationship, but at its core was someone I deeply respected and was in awe of. She was a talented actress, beloved by many in the world, and the world is less without her. My condolences to all who loved her." Close quote. Doherty, who was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015 by her publicist, Leslie's Clone's account, quote, "was surrounded by her loved ones as well as her dog Bowie," close quote. Shannen Doherty, 90210 co-star and Charmed co-star, dead at the age of 53. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration issued multiple recalls last week, including notices for over almost 400,000 BMW vehicles over an airbag concern that could cause injury or even death. Honda also is recalling 1,700 plus of its 2024 CR-V vehicles, and Chrysler is recalling just over 9,000 of its 2017 to 2024 Alfa Romeo Giulia and the 2021 to 2024 Alfa Romeo Svelto vehicles. Be careful about what vehicle you drive, and if so, if you have one of those, have somebody check it out. The following sports update is brought to you by the Playmakers blog. Former Ravens Texans wide receiver Jacoby Jones, unfortunately, he has passed away at the age of 40 Sunday. The cause of death is unknown. To the NBA, where Knicks guard Jalen Brunson And the Knicks themselves agreed to a 4-year, $156.5 million extension. Now, that is $113 million less than the max deal, but it was done for roster flexibility. The NBA Cup groups were revealed Friday night. The defending champion Lakers will be playing in the West B, featuring the Thunder, the Spurs, and the Suns. The Mavs and Warriors are in the West C. And we need to abolish the NBA Cup. I'm sorry, that's not in the script. To the Diamond, where Christopher Sanchez replaced Chris Sales, and it gave the Phillies 8 All-Stars, as they're having a wonderful first half of their season thus far. They definitely are the, I guess you could say, North Star of this year in Major League Baseball. And Aaron Judge on Saturday hit his 34th homer, setting the Yankees record before the All-Star break. They had to cough up a lead in the 9th inning, but that's besides the point. And on Wimbledon, 31st seed Barbara Krejcikova, she received and captured her first Wimbledon title in a thrilling 3-set victory over 7th-seeded Jasmine Paolina. That is her second Grand Slam title. And over on the men's side, Carlos Alcaraz looks like he is putting his stamp on the post-Federer, Nadal, Djokovic era, as he dominated over Novak Djokovic in straight sets. So far, Alcaraz is 4-0 in Grand Slams, and that is his second Grand Slam in Wimbledon. Back to the courts in the WNBA, Angel Reese's double-double streak unfortunately went at a halt at 15 with a 81-67 loss to the New York Liberty on Saturday. Oh, and Asia Wilson also became the first WNBA player to record 3 consecutive 20-point, 15-rebound games. And as for the men, Team USA's showcase, they face Australia today in Abu Dhabi. Tip-off is at noon Eastern time. But Kevin Durant will miss his second exhibition because of old age. Because of a calf strain. We should know better. That's a look on sports. Turning our attention to weather is powered by the Weather Channel. And it will be partly cloudy skies and 81 in Seattle. It will be a sun thunderstorm mix with a high of 83 in Minneapolis. It'll be partly cloudy skies with a high of 92 in Chicago. Partly cloudy skies and 100. That's right, 100 in the city of the Arches. It will be mostly sunny skies with a high of 88 in Detroit. Going on to the East Coast, it will be a sun thunderstorm mix with a high of 93 in Boston. Partly cloudy skies with a high of 94 in New York. Partly cloudy skies and 100 in the nation's capital. Down south, there will be partly cloudy skies and 89 in Miami. A sun thunderstorm mix with a high of 95 in Atlanta. Mostly sunny skies also with a high of 95 in Memphis. And a sun thunderstorm mix with a high of 93 in the Crescent City. In the southwest, there will be partly cloudy skies and 95 in San Antonio. Sunny at 102 in Dallas. Partly cloudy skies and 93 in Houston. And over in the Rockies, it will be a sun thunderstorm mix with a high of 96 in Denver. It will be in the hot spot of the country, in the desert. Partly cloudy skies and 108 in Phoenix. It will be mostly sunny skies and high of 106 in Las Vegas. And over on the West Coast, it will be partly cloudy skies and 82 in in Los Angeles. And over in the Bay Area, it will be partly cloudy skies with a high of 66. That's your look on weather. And now you have been properly started up. Coming up later, what did the events in Butler, Pennsylvania mean? What does it mean for our country and the election to come? That's later, and also later, enlightening away the testing of our faith. But coming up next, retirement. Do you need to dip into it? What are the pros and cons of that? You are listening to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the Real Wise Radio Network. You're watching it on BS3TVLive.com, Roku TV via BS3 Network, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. It is a great morning to start thus far. We'll be right back to continue it after this. There's a 100% chance of a laugh thunderstorm. Four men with different viewpoints take a movie, show, or documentary and review it uncensored, unfiltered, uncompromised, with no holds barred. Join BS3, Wilkes, King Dog, and H-Rap B as they take on Hollywood their own way. BS3 Network proudly presents The Forecast, where H-Rap B always predicts,
if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
So, sit back, tune in, tell a friend. This Dope Cooking Show, we about to get started, and it's about to go down. Check me out.
Join your culinary master of ceremonies, Chef Jeff, as he introduces to you This Dope Cooking Show. Live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. Well, welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Glad that you were here, Shifter. Your day has made my day already better just because of your presence, and I hope I do the same with you. And if you want to do the same with me, just go to the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson's YouTube channel and be amongst the Shift Nation. If you feel compelled to want to actually engage with yours truly and engage with other shifters, because, well, shifters are what makes the world go around. And speaking of which, to Shift Nation we go. My TFT brother, or Total Football Talk brother, Drew Willingham. He says, good morning, shifters. I'm actually up and awake for today's episode. Laughing, crying on the floor emoji. Probably laughing, crying because his eyes are burning. But but if you also want to tune into football talk, tune into Total Football Talk that comes on later today live on Sartoba Media and the Comedy Media YouTube channels, and you can find that starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. out in LA. The Playmaker. It feels so strange to actually see your government name, but Darnell Solins, obviously. But yes, Playmaker's here. Says, what happened this weekend? I see a message, Drew. I'll get to that before I continue. He says a lot, unfortunately, did happen this past weekend outside of sports. Man. Playmaker says, look, chaos and calamity running wild in sports and out of sports. Before games, during, and after games. Thought madness was safe, but March, oh no. You have madness in other parts of the year, too. Ryan McCarthy, North Graditches acquired fame. He says, good morning, shifters, fellow shifters. Good morning to you, sir. Drew says, look, welcome to the legendary show in the making live. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. He went on to say also the Joe Biden speech at Oval Office. He said it looked like It was only his third in 3.5 years. Thank you for that tidbit, because you're right. He's had very few Oval Office speeches in his 4-year tenure. He says the speech felt forced and written, probably like his address Saturday as well, and when he was in Rehoboth Beach, by someone else as he read it. Didn't feel as genuine as it should. Yeah, and I think it didn't feel as genuine because quite possibly he might not have felt it. He also says, I was literally just watched it when I was awaiting the start of greatness this morning with this production. Thank you, sir. And along with Shannen Doherty, who also died, there's many who died with her, unfortunately, this past weekend. Ryan says you had Dr. Ruth Westheimer, you have Richard Simmons, along with Shannen Doherty, and of course, as I mentioned, Jacoby Jones as well. Not a great weekend in terms of celebrities dying. Drew says, yeah, Shannen Doherty battled cancer it was a good lengthy battle, 8 years. Yeah. She fought hard until the end and advocated for this suffering with similar ailments like a champ. Yeah, she did. And I think she was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Drew, I think she was more wanting the holistic type of treatment as she was going through it. But I gained a whole lot of respect for her in her journey when I found out how she was going through it. And yeah, it's unfortunate that it's still, to me, I think it took her far too soon. Ryan McCarthy says, look, what's this about the NBA Cup? Look, I was too busy yawning. Or Cool says the NBA Suck Cup. Yes. My Mentality brother, you can catch Mentality on live on Real Wise TV's YouTube channel and the Code Media YouTube channel today as well, later today as well. This is I arrived just in time to hear news about my beloved Knicks and Jalen Brunson. Yeah. Snowman Multimedia says, good morning, Shift Nation. Shift the Snowman checking in with the family as the girls head to work. Oh, my goodness. Oh, thank you, Drew. It says, fire commercial transition after that set of plugs. Give me the thumbs up emoji, or I should say the hang loose emoji. He says, look, no ticket required, has healthy competition out here in these streams. Let it fuel you guys into continued growth and creativity toward meeting the goals. I appreciate that. And I echoed that with his stuff too, because along with him being in Total Football Talk, my brother also helms In or Out Sports Debate. He will be starting cranking up Commander's Ground Report. That's at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central, and 8:05 a.m. out on the West Coast. Anything Commanders, you check that brother out. And also, when it comes back in the fall, D. Willie in the evening. This brother is one of the most ingenious and one of the most creative content creators that I know. And also, hook a brother up with a like on this video and a subscribe to the channel for newcomers to help out with this algorithm out here in these streams. And that goes for this program. It goes for any of Drew's programs. It goes for Playmakers programs and Cools and Wises and Snowmans. Love you guys. Love you guys. Love you guys. Now, it is great to actually just share brotherhood with all of you. And hopefully you'll take the following message with the love that's intended. All of us are going to retire at some time, at some point, in some way, in some fashion. How can we be prepared for it? And if we're preparing for it now, is it something that we should do in terms of dipping into retirement? Now, I know I talked about this, I think it was last week, but it's probably a good time to go over it again. And we'll do that in just my thoughts. Now, retirement, tricky. And I mean tricky from the standpoint of there's times you can actually take money out, but Uncle Sam will go and penalize you. And then there's other ways that you can get around that. But can you afford it? And that is the key. You have to afford retirement just the way things are going, because you hear that Social Security is starting to dry up, and you're hearing that, well, The labor force does not want to have somebody over the age of 65 be in there, even if it's part-time. So you got to find some way to save up for those golden years. And hopefully you can. And here's possibly some tips that can help you to save. Now, retirement has generally been portrayed as a full stop to employment, and often is celebrated with a party, but this view has begun to change as workers have struggled to shoulder more and more of their retirement expenses and burdens on their own. And many will fear that they'll run out of the money early, or they won't ever be able to leave the workforce. Now, in these situations, avoiding traditional retirement in your early 60s is probably wise, but there is an alternative approach you could try that gives you some wiggle room and benefits of retirement without compromising your financial security. Like retirement doesn't have to happen all at once. Stopping work entirely can place a significant strain on that nest egg of yours. Now, even if you were to apply for Social Security, you still likely have expenses you'll have to pay on your own. And the SSA, or the Social Security Administration, they estimate that benefits will cover about maybe 40% of your pre-retirement expenses for the average worker. Now, even if your expenses drop to 80% of your pre-retirement income, they'll still leave you with about half of your monthly bills to pay out of pocket. Say you have $100,000 saved in a retirement account, earning about 5% average annually. Now, you receive $2,000 monthly in Social Security benefits and expect to spend about $40,000 or so in your first year of retirement. You think these costs will rise 3% annually due to inflation, but at this rate, your nest egg will become gone in about 7 years, leaving you in a very tight financial spot. But what if you remained in the workforce part-time for 10 years, earning about maybe $2,000 per month, adjusted for inflation? Then your total income would be adequate to cover your remaining expenses, so the $100,000 you have saved could continue to grow. After a decade, your nest egg would climb to nearly about $165,000. Even if you were to stop working cold turkey, that amount would last you about 12 years. Now, this still might not be enough for everyone, but it illustrates an important point. Remaining in the workforce part-time will allow to stretch your retirement savings for much longer. This is due to your slower withdrawal rate during your years of your part-time employment, which also allows the savings you have to continue growing. If you still get to enjoy some of those freedoms of retirement when working fewer hours. Now, how to make a phased retirement work for you, you ask? Well, it means different things to different people. It could simply be, I don't know, cutting back your hours, but remaining with your current employer. It could mean transitioning to a more advisory role rather than doing the hands-on work. It also might mean just simply trying out a whole new field altogether, or it could be a chance to finally start the business you always wanted to build. All of these are valid options. And it's worth noting, and it's worth pointing out, though, that it's good to explore a few options before deciding how you would like to move forward. If your current employer won't allow you to drop part-time work, you can rule that out. Those thinking about trying out a new job altogether should explore the opportunities in the area where they plan to retire to get an idea of what's out there and how much it pays. Now, once you've settled into a tentative second act of your life, estimate how much you'll earn from that job. Now, use that estimate to help you figure out how much of your retirement expenses you can independently cover. And to me, that's key. Don't forget to weigh any costs associated with your new job as well. Now, this is especially important when starting your own business, but it also can apply to traditionally employed people as well. Here's another example. You may have to commute to and from your job, or you need to budget for business expenses. Now, make sure to subtract those costs when determining how much you will actually earn from your job. Whatever you ultimately decide, though, the big takeaway here is to remember you have options if you're nervous about your retirement finances. Now, here's something that's a nugget. The $22,924 Social Security bonus, most retirees completely overlook. Now, here's an offer from the Motley Fool. If you're Like most Americans, you're a few or maybe even more years behind your retirement savings, but a handful of little known, quote, social security secrets could help ensure a boost in your retirement income. Like one easy trick that you could pay as much as almost 23,000 or more each year. Once you learn how to maximize your social security benefits, we think you could retire confidently with the peace of mind we are all after. And really, that is what it's about. Getting into those golden years and feeling free that you could do whatever you want and live the life that you would desire and do the things that you more likely did not think you would get a chance to do earlier in life, but you get a chance to do it later. And those, quite simply, quite plainly, are just my thoughts. When we return, how does this bloody but unbowed scene that happened Saturday evening at a Pittsburgh suburb galvanize America now? And how does it shift and change the 2024 presidential election race? You're listening to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the Real Wise Radio Network. You're also watching it live on BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 logo on Roku TV, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. We'll step aside and we'll come back right after this. There's a 100% chance of a laugh thunderstorm. Four men with different viewpoints take a movie, show, or documentary and review it uncensored, unfiltered, uncompromised, with no holds barred. Join BS3, Wilkes, King Doc, and H-Rap B as they take on Hollywood their own way. BS3 Network proudly presents The Forecast, where H-Rap B always predicts,
If I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
So sit back, tune in, tell a friend. This dope cooking show, we about to get started, and it's about to go down. Check me out.
Join your culinary master of ceremonies, Chef Jeff, as he introduces to you this dope cooking show. Live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. We are live on BS3 Morning Shift, Cole Johnson's YouTube channel. We're also live on BS3TVLive.com. We're live on Roku TV via BS3. We're also live. You can't see us. You can hear us on Real Wise Radio. And back to Shift Nation we go. Drew loving government name. Yes, the government name. It's strange to see the playmaker's government name, but it's good to see him, period. It's also good to see Victor Lock or V like A3 or Victor Lock. It says good morning to Shift the Nation Worldwide. And big good morning to my friend and mentor, the EP of all EPs, Cole Johnson. And a good morning to the Ed McMahon of Snowman in the Morning, Victor Locke. And you can catch them, I believe it's 10 a.m. Eastern, and they'll break down a whole lot of sports stuff that took place. Not chiefly amongst them, the battle for Rookie of the Year in the WBA between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Of course, the Wimbledon stuff, and then the curious case of why people want to see Bronny James. I have no idea. Cool McCain. Now, I didn't say what you could see in him, but the dude is the hardest working content creator I know, other than, well, Drew maybe. But later in the night, you can catch him and Playmaker on Monarchs of Wrestling. That's tonight, 6:30 p.m. or today, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. You can catch him Wednesday evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, on Eagles Elite Podcast. That's on the Eagles Elite channel, YouTube channel, and the Playmakers Sports Talk, Play Callers Sports Talk. I'm sorry, catch that at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the Play Callers YouTube channel, and on the Monarchs Wrestling, you can catch that on Shady Sports Network YouTube channel or the Play Callers Sports YouTube channel as well. He says, Playmaker, Darnell and Ryan. Good morning, gentlemen, and Snowman and Vicola. And my brother Drew Willingham, and I said he works hard too, along with Total Football Talk, which is at 4 tonight. He'll have Inter-Out Sports Debate. That comes at you 9:05 Eastern PM on the PM side. And I had a wonderful time with Kyle Nash. Shout out to Kyle Nash. Wonderful time with him and Drew when I had an appearance with Drew's wonderful award-winning show. And then I mentioned Commander's Grad Report Tuesday. The man is busy, and it's a full-time job too. So yeah, there's that. Victor says, "Oh, cool, Breeze McCain, huh, you sir? It's great to see the shifters greet one another, and it's great to see camaraderie amongst the fam. And maybe we are at a stage in the time that we're going to be seeing camaraderie because it's necessary. Because seeing that we witnessed this past Saturday, I think it hammers home the understanding that I think we can get a little too far with a lot of our biases and a lot of things we hold dear and a lot of the sacred cows I think that we make sacred. And in today's cover story, the assassination attempt of Donald Trump, I think, has changed the temperature of all the rooms in America. Hopefully it will stay, but I know how Americans are. Investigations into the sniper shooting, which injured Donald Trump, killed a local firefighter. It must focus on whether several key Secret Service protocols were violated. A lot of current and former law enforcement officials have said that almost ad nauseum ever since that unfortunate happening took place in Butler, Pennsylvania, Saturday evening, roughly about 6:10 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, boy. Well, chief among them, why wasn't a building well within 1,000 yards of the former president locked down enough to prevent a shooter from nearly assassinating the presumptive GOP presidential nominee? Now, USA Today got an exclusive interview with former Secret Service Director Julia Pearson. And she said that maintaining such a sniper security perimeter is part of the agency's responsibility for safeguarding protectees like Trump, Obama, Clinton, W, and Carter, because they protect former presidents along with the current president. That is part of what they earn when they become the president of the United States from harm. Yet the man identified as the sniper, a 20-year-old man, I'm not going to say his name, fired off numerous rounds from a building top roughly 150 yards from Trump's lectern in Butler, Pennsylvania, Saturday's rally. She said, quote, I think 1,000 yards is the sniper capability that we have a concern about for the president. So anything that's within that range that is a professional, makeable shot, and you want to know about it, close quote. Now, she went on to say, quote, when you think about it, it's a football field and a half, and that's a makeable shot by an individual. And obviously, an inch would have made a difference in this case, and Trump wouldn't be with us, close quote. He fired to manage off numerous rounds, not only killing a person, but injuring 2 others in the crowd before being killed by a Secret Service counter sniper sharpshooter from another nearby roof. Now, from yesterday evening, the FBI clarified that the young man had an AR-style 5.56 rifle to try to clip Trump. Congressman Ruben Gallego, a former Marine and Arizona Democrat, he said that those, quote, responsible for the planning, approving, and executing of this clearly insufficient security plan need to testify before Congress and be held accountable. There should have been a clear line of sight on the former president. My Marine Corps training taught me that, close quote. Let me stop this real quick. My Army experience taught me that too. In fact, that was something that was drilled into us in basic and in AIT, that whenever you survey any situation, all areas must be surveyed and covered. There should not be any leaks or any holes. And that's what makes this particular thing extremely troubling. For those who've served, and not even in Secret Service, but those who served in military protection of this sort, that type of glaring hole should never happen. I digress. President Joe Biden also weighed in, directing Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle to review all security measures for the Republican National Convention, which begins today in Milwaukee. He said he had ordered an independent review of the security measures taken at the Trump rally to, quote, assess exactly what happened, close quote. Now, this is the first assassination attempt from against a former or a current president since Ronald Reagan was 2 months into his first administration, and he was injured in a March 1981 shooting in DC at a DC hotel. And before that, the member of the Manson family tried to shoot President Gerald Ford at close range in Sacramento, but failed to chamber a round into the gun. The Secret Service has confirmed that it is investigating how a gunman armed with an AR rifle was able to get close enough to shoot and injure Trump in what appears to be an epic failure in one of the agency's primary duties of protecting VIPs. The FBI, state police, and the U.S. Congress also will be seeking answers to said question. Some of them would be, how did Donald Trump's would-be assassin gain a high ground vantage point to fire off a potentially fatal headshot against the former president? Why didn't Secret Service counter sniper teams neutralize that person before he got off so many rounds from his high-powered rifle, killing one Trump rally goer and injuring 2 others? And also, if this person had been flagged by local authorities for acting suspiciously, as some social media have reported, why was he then able to climb atop a nearby building with a rifle, firing a shot that grazed Trump's ear? And why did Secret Service agents allow Trump to stand back up defiantly and do 3 fist pumps in the air when it wasn't clear that the threat had been fully neutralized? Well, Senator James Comer, who is a Republican U.S. Senator and chairs the House Oversight Committee, he was one of several lawmakers who called for an immediate investigation into several lapses by the Secret Service. Comer said, though, in a statement that he has already contacted the Secret Service for a briefing, and he called on Cheadle, the director, to testify about what went wrong. His committee will send a formal invitation soon, saying, quote, political violence in all forms is un-American and unacceptable. There are many questions and Americans demand answers, close quote. Senator John Fetterman, from Pennsylvania, also called for mourning, an urgent investigation to explain what happened. But 7 hours later, though, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, also Democrat, he sidestepped a question of his own at a news conference about potential Secret Service failures in preventing the shooter from climbing atop the building, saying, quote, "I'm not getting into any questions regarding the ongoing investigation. I trust that the FBI and the Pennsylvania State Police will keep you posted throughout the day and in the days ahead as to their investigations." Close quote. Well, our prayers to Donald Trump, Trump's family, and this country. I think we have to learn. We must learn. We need to learn, and we need to hold dear that politics should not divide a country. We can have disagreements. We can have discourse, but we cannot be violently disagreeable, because you know what they say. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And there's most of the 335 million in this country who seem to not want to learn from history because they want to be doomed to repeat it. And that's today's cover story. Coming up, how does your faith get tested? It's a really good question. And we'll touch on that after the break. You're listening to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the Real West Radio Network. Well, listening to it on the Real West Radio Network. You're watching it on BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson's YouTube channel and BS3TVLive.com. We'll be right back right after this.
The moderator.
As woman, you can't be too friendly, because the minute you're friendly, then they think you're flirting.
The level head.
I think so that thing is over. So I'm not looking at men like that anymore.
The truth slayer.
Okay, what in the HPV yeast infection is going on over here?
The X Factor.
So I'd rather you tell me everything up front and let's start fresh.
The intersection of life and spirituality never sounded this good. BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Cool McCain.
You thought you wanted Gunther against Chad Gable, but you didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Chad Gable would take everything that Gunther's done and bury it.
The Playmaker.
It was on site. AJ Styles walked out there, seen LA Knight. Oh, okay. Then LA Knight hopped out the car. Let's go.
Break down everything in TNA, AEW, and all of the WWE programming. Join these two kings, monarchs of wrestling, live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
Yeah. A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central.
welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. You are listening to it live. That's right, listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network. You are watching it live on the BS3 TVLive.com website, Roku TV via BS3, and you're watching it also on the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. Welcome back, shifters. So glad that you're here, and so glad you are in the number with me as I'm in the number with you. And right to it, shall we? Our faith, I think it always gets tested almost all the time. Sometimes we don't know it. Sometimes we're aware of it. And when we are aware of it, we probably are like, wait a minute, why are we going, why am I going through this? Well, this might help in lighting the way. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for being in the midst. Your word says that when 2 or 3 are gathered together in the midst, you will be there. And I'm so glad that you were here with us. I'm so glad that you have told us that we shouldn't worry for anything, but we're praying supplication. You will make your presence known to us, and that the peace that you provide, which passes all understanding, will abide in our minds, our hearts, our bodies, and our spirit. So may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart always be accepted to your sight, Lord. You are my strength and my redeemer. And please take all ego out of me and have all of you coming to me. None of me and all of you. I want to be represented in the message I send forth. In Jesus' name, amen. So here we are. Faith. You know, it's tough sometimes when you think about it. You know, you don't want it to ever get a hold of you, get the better of you, but sometimes it can if we don't understand that we're being tested. You know, think to when Abraham had to see if God was going to actually give him all of what he could see. God wanted to make sure that, well, I want to make sure that you aren't holding back. So his son, Isaac, was placed on the altar. And Abraham was committed to striking him dead at the altar, and he was going to be sacrificed. But God at the last second said, no. I didn't want you to kill your son. I wanted to see how far you're willing to go to obey me. And you're willing to do that. You're willing to actually sacrifice your son to obey me. I don't need to see you do the sacrifice. I just need to see you do. I just need to see you would be willing to do it. So sacrifice this ram instead. That's how God is. God wants us to know that, well, there can't be any sacred cows. Nothing can be held more dear than following him. And that's what the teacher wanted us to understand in the 11th chapter of Hebrews. Verses 17 to 19, it says, by faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had embraced promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son, even though God said to him, it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead. And so, in a manner of speaking, he did receive Isaac back from death. Now, why does God test us this way? Simple. He wants total devotion. He wants total devotion. And he deserves total devotion. Just look at the example of Jesus. I mean, this was the most powerful human being on the planet, yet he gave total devotion to God. So if the most powerful human being on the planet that roamed the planet gives total devotion to God, how can we give less than that? So how should we receive the promises God gives us once we pass his test? Well, Abraham is one great shining example. He passed that knowledge down to Isaac and so forth and so on by being a diligent friend to God. Yes, we can be friends with God, but we also have to understand that's our Father too. It's not a crime for us to actually be friends with God and actually have this be our parent. We're friends with our parents, but it took the respect and the knowledge to understand, okay, you know more than I do. And we have a rapport, we have a relationship. And it's because of that relationship and my respect of you and your respect of me that we can have that. God already has given us that respect, but we have to give that reverence to him. After all, he deserves it, and we need to give it to him. So how should we be if we're asked to sacrifice something special? We should go as far as we possibly can to sacrifice that something special. Now, if it's God asking us to sacrifice it, it's not going to be he's wanting us to kill it. It means he wants us to subdue it, put it in its proper spot. You know what Jesus said in the Bible: where your treasure is, where your treasure is, so is your heart. So, if he knows that your heart is about money and it's not about God, then God can't trust you. And you could supplant money with anything else in substitute of God. God knows he can't trust you. But if God knows that you could put that in subject to God and into subjection and subduing to God, then he can trust you. So what is the ultimate lesson we should learn in the testing of our faith? It produces perseverance. It produces a lot of good fruit. And it also and ultimately produces the love that we always want to have from him, for him, and about him. And because of that, faith and that testing of it, it makes us stronger, and it makes the word of God stronger because it goes to the ends of the earth. That is exactly why our faith needs to be tested, why it should be tested, and why it will always be tested. Because God needs to know, are you growing or are you withering? And if you're withering, I got to see it. And if you're growing, that's great. But I want to see if you're growing still. That is what faith is supposed to do. And that's what faith will always do. Faith in God means that everything else has to come in second place. Doesn't matter who it is or what it is. That's just what it is. Well, that's all the time I have. Thank you so much, Shifter, for joining me. And I hope that you continue to like, share, subscribe, and enjoy this content that we bring forth here from the BS3 Morning Show Cole Johnson YouTube channel, and from all of us here at the BS3 Network, the Morning Shift, and Rewise Radio. I am Cole Johnson, here to say parting, as I always do. If you lack commitment, you will never start. If you lack consistency, you'll never finish. And if you lack love, you most certainly will never conquer. Until we meet again, 23 Hour Shifter, be blessed because you're a blessing. And how do I know that? Because you've already blessed me. I love you, Shifter. Have a great rest of your day.